Welcome to Chasing Sustainability, a set of episodes that reflect on the challenges related to developing sustainable practices in the rural environment. If you're one of those people interested in learning about international development in remote areas and global sustainability, join me in this adventure, where you will come across some truly fascinating projects and learn about local traditions while you discover some natural hidden gems on the way. So, let's get started. Walatunga, for sure one of the remotest places that I went to during my stay in Sumba. The roads to get there are the next level of bumpiness, and it was just impressive to see how the kids went to school with all motorbikes on those dangerous roads. Eventually, we managed to get there. I remember that all people from the village came to receive us because of curiosity. And the project here in Desa Walatunga involved a solar-powered corn mill and solar lanterns. So here we have another example of a project that didn't go as planned, since now the equipment is not working anymore, and the program started only 4 years ago.
Jumlah yang pemanfaat atau yang mengambil lampu dulu itu ada 28 kita di sini, di satu agen, 28 keluarga. Dengan berjalannya waktu, jadi ada 10 yang tidak melancarkan setor dan nyata bulan, akhirnya ditarik dari kantor. Ya tinggal 18 sekarang yang masih normal, sudah lunas juga sebagian. Ada rusak juga sebagian kecil, tinggal beberapa yang belum lunas. Dari itu lampu sangkingnya. Kalau giling jagungnya ini sementara macet ya. Jadi kemarin waktu dari bagian elektronik barangkali dari kantor, bahwa giling ini ada macet, dia punya aki, jadi tidak beroperasi lagi sampai dengan hari ini. Sudah 1 tahun tidak beroperasi.
So here once again, the knowledge transfer mechanisms and the supply chain problems for operation and maintenance emerge as repeated challenges. The lesson learned from this project was that the expected business model involved a fee collection regarding the payment of the equipment, considering the corn mill was going to be functioning all the time. However, due to its broke, the business model was not sustainable anymore. After that, we had the opportunity to fly the drone over the village, and it's lovely to see the people's reactions to it. Besides, the footage of these rural communities from the air is just stunning. During the following days, I had the chance to go with Sarah and many of the kids from the community I was living to visit some outstanding places and contemplate the natural beauty of Sumba. On our way there, I had a conversation with Sarah, and a lot of interesting information came into the conversation. So we decided to do a second interview, talk about another challenge that she thinks is also very important.
One of the challenges that we have is a lot of investors are talking about wanting to invest in renewable energy, in energy access, but a lot of the investors, once they get to just talking about how much they want to invest, they actually don't want to invest small amounts. They want to invest big amounts straight away to make it worthwhile in terms of the due diligence of all the processes that go along with a major investment. And that means that you're talking about ticket sizes of maybe investment of $5 million or $10 million. Even if you've got a really good business model, that's going to cause the process to fail, because you have to be able to be adaptive. You've got to be able to work with the conditions that are there, and you really need to be able to respond to the specific needs of those communities. Understand exactly how they're working and to make that business model work. So if you have to scale up too quickly, it's not going to work. You're going to come undone even if you've got the best business model and you've worked out all the solutions. So the second part of that is that an investment model that would work in this situation is a kind of blended finance approach, which is done in other places, but once again, it's still hard to attract debt investment for it. But a blended finance approach is part debt equity, part debt investment, part equity investment, and part donor or philanthropy. So the idea of that is that you can actually attract commercial investment to enable you to scale up, but the donor money helps to offset the risk of the rural energy projects. So it's a really viable model, but once again, the challenges of if you have a 5 million ticket for the investment from the debt equity, that means that you've got to raise another 2.5 million maybe of philanthropic investment, and that there's a big mismatch in being able to do that. So even though lots of people are keen to enable the investment space, to enable commercial capital to solve these problems, the size of philanthropic donations and the size of debt investments are not compatible. The philanthropic investments are much smaller compared with the debt investment where they want a much bigger project size. So we need to have that kind of backing of people to be able to say, like, we're going to back this business model. Yes, it's risky, but it's worth it. So that's a major challenge for us, I think, in the global context and for a lot of companies in our kind of size and age bracket.
This is something I didn't know before going to Sumba, and it's indeed a key aspect to achieve sustainable development. And the main strategy to work on a solution stems from the enforcement of new policies.
So policy is a really important cornerstone and provides investors with confidence. One of the challenges that we've had in Indonesia over the past 10 years is a range of new policies, and some of those policies are moving in a positive direction and some are kind of reining back in investment. So there's a lack of investor confidence in those policies that they're going to stay there, they're going to be consistent, and that you can build a business on it.
However, when we talk about finance and policies in the global context, there can be exogenous shocks that influence the availability of public funding, such as the pandemic.
Yang pertama, terus terkait dengan pekerjaan baik bersama pemerintah maupun donor, untuk pemerintah daerah sendiri, untuk saat ini memang kami sangat terkendala dalam hal pendanaan atau pembiayaan karena sejak COVID 2020 kemarin banyak produk-produk kami yang seharusnya sudah dibeli oleh pemerintah desa, namun biaya atau pendanaan itu dialihkan untuk penanganan COVID di desa-desa, sehingga banyak sekali koordinasi yang terputus antara perusahaan kami atau 3S atau PT Sumba Solusi Alam dengan pemerintah desa maupun pemerintah daerah, sehingga itu menjadi salah satu tantangan berat saat ini, yaitu COVID.
Finally, we had the opportunity to talk about a repeated challenge which is related to international development and knowledge transfer, very important one. Sarah explained to me an interesting perspective on how these mechanisms work.
We like to think about international development and training work as like a game of pool. So if you have the pool balls on the table, when you hit a ball, you will hope that it will hit another ball and that you will make it, get it into the pocket. But we all know when you're playing pool, you can try as hard as you might, but you won't always make that ball go into that pocket the way that you expect. So if you think that you are going to train 25 people and then 25 people will implement what you're training them for and they will be successful, then you are setting yourself up for a failure. For your own expectations, that is just too high an expectation for any human beings, because we all live in a complex social world. But what we need to focus on to say, so some people in that training, maybe one person, maybe two people are very interested in what you're doing. If we can work with them and really work with them on the things that they're interested in, it might not be exactly the same as the goals of our project, but we work with them on the thing they're interested in, and then we can move forward. And if we're empowering people, those agents of change, then they can make change. Maybe it's not exactly what we want to see or what we expect to see, but the more good things we're putting into those systems, the more I like to think of the balls as being green and red. So when you give someone training and it really sticks and they find it really interesting and you make a good connection, then they go from being kind of maybe a yellow ball to being green. So that person who becomes the green ball then has a knock-on effect. There will be other people that they work with doing other good things, and that is how we bring change. I think it's very important when you're working in development to understand, to be flexible, but also to understand that you won't achieve everything that you wanted to achieve, but the most important thing is to learn from those challenges, and also to be very critical of your own work and critical of other people's work. We always try to tell exactly how it is because we want other people to learn from our mistakes, not to make the same mistakes.
Then it becomes apparent that successful stories in rural environments require long-term commitment and they cannot be subject to short-term projects. Being flexible, as Sarah says, is very important, and accepting that the outcome of the program you are implementing might not be the one that you are expecting because of the complexities of the cultural environment these projects are embedded in. So having said that, it was time to head to the west of Sumba, where many other interesting projects were waiting for us.